The evening sunlight came through the curtains of our small apartment as I stood in the kitchen, making dinner. My husband, Ryan, sat in the living room, glued to his phone. "Lila, did you clean the guest room? My mom's coming over tomorrow," he said without even looking at me. I froze for a moment, gripping the counter to steady myself. His mom, Eleanor, always made my life a nightmare. Since our wedding 2 years ago, she treated me more like a servant than a daughter-in-law. Ryan never stood up for me. Instead, he would always say, "Just deal with it." I forced a small smile to hide my frustration. "Yes, Ryan. Everything will be ready." The next day, Eleanor arrived. She walked around the apartment, inspecting everything like she owned the place. She finally stopped in the kitchen where I was washing dishes. "Lila, these dishes aren't clean enough. Do them again," she said sharply. "Of course," I replied, trying to keep calm even though my hands shook. I had learned not to argue with her. If I complained to Ryan, he would just tell me I was being disrespectful. As weeks turned into months, Eleanor's behavior got worse. She started using a spare key to come into our apartment whenever she wanted. One day, I came home from work and found her going through my closet. "What are you doing?" I asked, trying to sound calm. "I'm just borrowing a few things. You don't mind, right?" she replied casually. I wanted to yell at her to leave, but I stayed quiet. Every time I stood up to her, Ryan would scold me and take her side. One evening, after a particularly humiliating encounter with Eleanor, I sat alone in the bedroom. I stared at my reflection in the mirror. I barely recognized myself. I wasn't the confident, independent woman I used to be. That night, I decided something had to change. I started planning my escape. Over the next few months, I gathered evidence. I recorded Eleanor's rude comments, took photos of the mess she left behind, and even captured Ryan's indifference toward me. I knew I would need proof if I wanted to take back my life. The breaking point came one night at dinner. Ryan casually mentioned building a new house, a dream home for him and his mom. "We'll have a big kitchen for you, Lila, and my mom will have her own suite," he said, smiling. I put down my fork, feeling my appetite disappear. "And what about me? Will there be a place for me in this house?" I asked softly. Ryan's smile faded. "Don't be dramatic, Lila. You'll have plenty of space. Besides, you'll be busy running the household." His words hurt more than I expected. I realized he didn't see me as a partner. To him, I was just someone to manage the house. That night, as he slept, I finalized my plan. The house was finished 6 months later. It was a grand, expensive house that Ryan and Eleanor were thrilled about. They decided to throw a big housewarming party, inviting family, friends, and Ryan's colleagues. On the day of the party, I played the perfect hostess, smiling and making sure everything went smoothly. But underneath my calm exterior, I was ready for what was about to happen. I had set up hidden cameras throughout the house, programmed to play specific videos at exactly 7 p.m. When the clock struck 7, the living room lights dimmed, and the TV turned on. The guests went quiet as the first video started playing. It showed Eleanor ordering me around, insulting me, and treating me like a servant. The second video showed Ryan ignoring my concerns and dismissing me, saying I was overreacting. Gasps filled the room as the videos played. Then, the final clip began, a recording of Ryan bragging about his affair with a coworker. "She's so much more fun than Lila," he said, laughing. The room erupted in shock. Guests whispered, glaring at Ryan and Eleanor. They tried to defend themselves, but the evidence was undeniable. I stepped forward, my voice steady. "This is who you really are. You've treated me like nothing more than a servant, but not anymore. I'm done." I placed divorce papers on the table. "Sign these, Ryan. It's over." Ryan's face turned red with anger. "You can't do this to me. You'll regret it," but I wasn't afraid anymore. The only thing I regret is not standing up for myself sooner, I said firmly. The party ended in chaos. Ryan and Eleanor were left humiliated, their reputations ruined. Relatives and colleagues left in disbelief. I walked out of that house with my head held high. The weight of years of mistreatment was finally lifted. I was free. Months later, I was living in a cozy apartment, surrounded by supportive friends and pursuing a career I loved. The scars of my past were still there, but they no longer defined me. I had taken back control of my life and, for the first time in years, felt truly happy. One sunny morning, I sipped coffee on my small balcony, enjoying the fresh air. Life had become peaceful, and I was finally focusing on myself. My job at a local community center brought me joy as I worked with children, helping them build confidence and achieve their dreams. The support I received from my coworkers was incredible. They knew about my past but never judged me. Instead, they encouraged me to keep moving forward. One day, while at work, I received a letter in the mail. It was from Ryan. I hesitated before opening it, unsure if I even wanted to hear from him. Inside, the letter was filled with apologies and excuses. He admitted he had lost his job due to his behavior being exposed at the party. The affair had cost him his reputation, and his mother, Eleanor, had become distant even with him. He begged for forgiveness, claiming he wanted to make things right. I laughed bitterly. The audacity of Ryan to ask for forgiveness after everything he'd done was beyond belief. I crumpled the letter and threw it in the trash. My life was better without him, and I wasn't about to let his words drag me back into the chaos I had escaped. As the months passed, I met new people and made close friends who became my chosen family. Among them was Sarah, a kind and compassionate woman who had gone through her struggles. We bonded over our shared experiences, and she became my closest confidant. Sarah always reminded me of my strength, helping me rebuild my confidence piece by piece. One evening, while sharing stories over tea, Sarah said something that stuck with me. "Lila, you're an inspiration. You turned your pain into power, and not everyone can do that." Her words brought tears to my eyes. For so long, I had seen myself as a victim, but Sarah helped me see the survivor in me. That night, I decided to share my story publicly to inspire others who might be in similar situations. I started writing a blog, detailing my journey and offering advice to those who felt trapped in toxic relationships. The blog quickly gained attention. Messages poured in from readers thanking me for giving them hope and courage. Some shared their stories, and others asked for advice. It felt incredible to know that my experiences could make a difference in someone else's life. Through my writing, I found healing and a renewed sense of purpose. Years later, I met someone who showed me what real love and partnership looked like. His name was Ethan, a kind-hearted man with a gentle soul. He respected my boundaries, listened to me, and supported my dreams. When I introduced him to my close friends and family, they immediately approved. My father, who had been my rock during the divorce, gave Ethan his blessing, saying, "This is the kind of man you deserve, Lila." Ethan and I built a life together filled with laughter, mutual respect, and love. We eventually got married in a small ceremony surrounded by the people who had stood by me through everything. It was a day filled with joy and gratitude, a stark contrast to my first wedding. Looking back, I realized that leaving Ryan and Eleanor wasn't just about escaping a toxic relationship. It was about rediscovering myself and reclaiming my life. The pain and struggles I endured became the foundation for the strong, resilient woman I am today. Now, as I sit by the fireplace in our cozy home, with Ethan reading beside me and our dog curled up at my feet, I can't help but smile. Life may not have turned out the way I initially planned, but it turned out exactly as it was meant to. I am free, happy, and surrounded by love, and that's all I ever needed.